Welcome back, Defenders. Jake here. I want to start by saying that if you tune into my channel because you want to see rapid map updates or map changes, you're probably going to be disappointed the next couple months, especially as we head into mud season. Here's one person's analysis. Battle lines mostly static, 1 month after Ukraine's invasion of Russia's Kursk. Ukraine has grabbed about as much as it can, and Russia isn't likely to be able to kick Kyiv's troops out anytime soon. Why is that? Why can't Ukraine continue to make progress in Kursk? Russia's deployed about 60,000 troops to Kursk region, according to President Zelensky. Now yes, most of these 60,000 are conscripts or brand new contract soldiers without experience, but they're still bodies, plugging up the gaps. And Ukraine doesn't have 180,000 troops they can send to Kursk to continue making progress deeper into Russia. Now that doesn't mean that Ukraine isn't going to take more territory. We've talked about and focused on the Glushkovo district. It's cut off. I do think Ukraine is going to sweep this eventually. But as far as going deeper into Russia, this just isn't going to happen. They can get drones to patrol the highway, and that's already a victory. But as far as threatening that nuclear power plant, I don't think that was ever going to happen. But let's put this in perspective. Russia's big summer offensive that they launched in May was the re-invasion of Kharkiv. And this is how deep they got, about 5 kilometers. Compare that to Ukraine, who's gone about 20 to 25 kilometers deep into Russia. And this is a huge victory for Ukraine for this year. Now, of course, we're talking about the counter-narrative in Pokrovsk, Russia's advance towards this city. And the front does appear to have stabilized the last couple days. In the last 5 or 6 days, Russia has not advanced closer to the city of Pokrovsk. But let me share with you this interview that President Zelensky gave, talking about what is Ukraine's intentions with their occupation of Kursk. Ukraine plans to hold Kursk territories for an unlimited time, basically until the war is over. But here's what he says specifically. We don't need Russian territory. I have always said this. Our operations are aimed at restoring our own territorial integrity. We don't need their people. They're civilians, they're citizens. We capture only soldiers, to exchange them for our own. I have always said, the exchange system of all for all. We are always ready. Let us take back our troops and you take back all of your troops. We don't need them. And the same attitude towards territories. We don't need their land. We don't want to bring our Ukrainian life there. And I am saying this because I understand what international law is. It's a pretty sweet deal, Russia. Just give back Ukraine all of their soldiers and their territory, and you can have back all of your territory and your soldiers. We don't need to fight this war anymore. So the Kremlin isn't happy, and when the Kremlin isn't happy, their coping mechanism is to talk about nuclear weapons. So the Kremlin is saying once again that the threat from the West is forcing them to change their nuclear doctrine. We've seen this headline before. Every couple months, Peskov or Lavrov or Medvedev will say that Russia's about to change their nuclear doctrine to allow for easier use of nuclear weapons. My response to this is, Putin's a dictator. There are no checks and balances. The law is irrelevant. If Putin wanted to use a nuclear weapon, he would have used one. He's not going to wait for some bureaucratic process to allow it to be easier under Russian law. Russian law is irrelevant. Putin is the state. Putin is Russia at the moment. But this invasion of Kursk has made the Russians look really bad. What are Russia's red lines? If the armed forces of Ukraine can invade Russia and occupy their sovereign territory. If that doesn't call for nuclear weapons, then what exactly does? So on Kremlin State TV, they're trying to change their narrative to allow them to talk about nuclear weapons without looking weak or making it seem like their red lines don't actually exist. So here's Solyov and one of his commentators saying how they need to reframe the debate over nuclear weapons. We need to move away from the term nuclear deterrence to nuclear intimidation. What are nuclear weapons for us? It is the creation of a real threat to the enemy, in the sense that the response to a strike would be unacceptable or even catastrophic for him. As soon as we change the framework and switch to nuclear intimidation, we immediately realize that we can take certain actions. Now the first thing is already happening. The deputy foreign minister says that a commission is working to change the nuclear doctrine. Solyov then jumps in. They, the West, think that we don't have working nuclear weapons anymore. They convince themselves that we don't have all this, that it's all fairy tales. They're acting like idiots. You said it right. That is why we will have to strike not only at Ukraine, but also at the gabbling Nazi scum who are now pretending to be Western states. I know this video from William Spaniel 5 days ago got a lot of attention, 587,000 views. Is Russia's nuclear weapons arsenal broken? And as a former nuclear and missile operations officer in the US Air Force, I want to confidently say that yes, Russia's nuclear weapons do exist and they do work. If they tried to launch them all at the same time, would there be a high failure rate? Sure. 30%, 50%, 70%, it doesn't matter. If you launch thousands of thermonuclear warheads, mass and numbers will make up for a high failure rate. This video does get into the specific science of why some of these warheads might have deteriorated. Has to do with the deuterium and tritium inside the warhead to have more neutrons collide with fissile material. This is real. Here in the United States, warheads have to be rotated and basically refilled because of radioactive decay. The debate in this video was, is Russia ignoring this routine maintenance that all nuclear weapons need because they don't have the funds or they don't have the manpower or they know they're never going to use a nuclear weapon? This is not a debate we should be having. The nukes are real, they do work, and we always have to take this threat serious, but once again I argue there's no benefit long term if Russia chooses to use a nuclear weapon. Let's now talk about Russia's continued campaign of terror on civilian cities. Russian air attack on Ukraine's Lviv kills 7 people. Here's the flight path of missiles and drones being launched from Belarus to attack Lviv. Lviv was hit the hardest 2 nights ago. And this is historic downtown Lviv, an entirely residential area. Russia deliberately targeted to kill civilians, destroy historic buildings, and punish Ukraine for resisting their imperial ambitions. There are videos of the explosions, videos of the fires. I'll link them down below if you want to see for yourself. Just pure terrorism. There's no military objective here. And you might have already heard this story. I have to share it. Only the dad is alive. Strike decimates a Ukrainian family. So this man, this was his wife and 3 daughters. They were going down a staircase to get into the basement when the missile struck, the drone struck. And this man lost his entire family. A wife and 3 daughters. All gone now. There are videos of this man seeing the bodies of his children being taken out of the rubble. They're gut-wrenching to watch. I'll link one down below, but this has been going on for 2.5 years. Anytime a Ukrainian civilian is killed in one of these attacks, it ripples through the country. ripples through families, seeing loved ones lost. So here's President Zelensky's response. He seems pretty focused on this talking point that Western countries should enable Ukraine to strike deeper into Russia with Western-donated weapons. I want to read his exact speech. You know that we need permission to use long-range weapons from countries that provide us with these long-range weapons. It depends on them. And I will tell you honestly, it doesn't depend on the coalition of all friendly partners of all countries in the world. So he's saying, I'm not talking about you, Sweden, Finland, Denmark, Poland. It depends on a very specific group of countries. The United States, Great Britain, France, and Germany. Today, only these 4 countries either give or are capable of providing the long-ranged weapons that could help us push out the Russian Federation from our territory. They could also help us save the lives of civilians in cities like Poltava, Lviv, Kharkiv, Kyiv, Dnipro, and Kryvyi Rih. We lose people every day. It is these 4 countries that determine our ability to solve these problems. So I know not a lot of people from France watch my videos, but I know there's a lot of people in Germany and the UK watching my videos. And it's important for you to contact your representatives, contact your government, and tell them to apply pressure on the United States to lift these restrictions. And if you're an American citizen, I'm going to link this page down below. This is the White House comment page. You can call them on the phone, you can send an email, you can write a letter, or you can use this comment form. It's probably the easiest for you to do. Link will be top of the description and a link in the pinned comment. What would you like to discuss? You can select Ukraine. It's a drop-down menu. Put in your name and information. The White House wants to know you're a real person. What would you like to say? As an American voter, I want all restrictions on the use of long-range weapons against Russia to be lifted by President Biden. Ukraine deserved the right to defend itself, and President Biden should not be protecting Russian airfields that bomb Ukrainian cities. And then you can hit send. If we can get tens of thousands of people to bomb the White House with phone calls, letters, emails, and comments, maybe the White House Chief of Staff will see it, and he'll let President Biden know he needs to do something. He needs to do something today. Let's talk about some other stories. This one I was trying to ignore. Ukraine attacks Russian positions with Dragonfire thermite drone. A video posted on several social media pages entitled Dracaris shows a Ukrainian drone dropping a flammable incendiary mix on a Russian defensive position. So the first time I saw this, I thought, that's interesting, but it can't possibly be practical. I don't think this will be used extensively. But then I saw more videos, and I saw more videos, and this appears to now be a widespread practice. The Ukrainians are using drones to drop molten thermite on Russian trench positions. I'm sure there's 2 different chemicals that are being mixed when dropped. It ignites, lands on the ground, and then burns for a decent amount of time. I don't know how long, but anything flammable could catch fire. This is crazy. This is horrifying. I don't want to see drones doing this to people, but until Russia gives up on this war, innovations will continue to kill people as cheaply and as fastly as possible. Russia is making the world a more dangerous place for everyone by continuing this war. Okay, let's get to the top story for today's video. It's insane. The United States accuses Russia's RT News of election interference. Now on its own, this headline is not very shocking. RT News is paid for entirely by the Russian government. The Russian government isn't very happy with the American government right now. So the idea that RT News would be trying to affect our elections, I'm not surprised yet. First thing you should know is that the head of RT News, Margarita Simonyan, has officially been sanctioned by the US government. This is shocking to me because Solyov and Mardan and all the other Kremlin propagandists were sanctioned years ago. But for some reason, the US government waited until this week to officially sanction Margarita Simonyan. But this is a Department of Justice indictment against two specific Russian individuals. This is Attorney General Merrick Garland, and he's going to explain the indictment.
This morning, we unsealed an indictment in the Southern District of New York of Konstantin Kalashnikov and Elena Afanasieva, two Russian-based employees of RT, a Russian state-controlled media outlet. They are charged with conspiring to commit money laundering and to violate the Foreign Agents Registration Act.
This Department of Justice indictment is targeting two Russian nationals who are employees of RT News, and they're being charged with money laundering and failing to register under something called the Foreign Agents Registration Act. Basically, if you're a US citizen or a foreign national and you want to influence US politics or the US national dialogue, and you're accepting money from the Russian government, the Chinese government, the Saudi government, you have to register with the Department of Justice as being a foreign agent because you're getting your money from a foreign government. The American people have a right to know if people they're watching on YouTube or TV are accepting money from the Russian government or the Chinese government. In addition, the Justice Department has seized 32 internet domains that the Russian government was using to engage in a covert campaign to interfere in and influence the outcome of the 2024 election. So the Russians were spoofing websites like NBC News and CBS News, but having fake articles pushing Russian disinformation and whatever Russia wanted to push to make it look like legitimate US-based news organizations. So here's RT News on Twitter trying to defend themselves. How can RT interfere in the elections if it's banned everywhere in the West? Now, this is true that some European countries have officially banned RT News everywhere in their country, but not here in the United States. RT News is perfectly safe, continuing to say whatever they want on Elon Musk's platform, on Twitter. Here's Ambassador McFowle. RT is right here, spewing propaganda to influence our 2024 elections on one of America's most influential social media platforms. So there were lots of Kremlin accounts that had been blocked or suppressed in the search, and as soon as Elon took over the platform, he lifted all restrictions. He restored and has been boosting RT News and other Kremlin propaganda accounts. Additionally, RT News is on the China-owned friendly TikTok. And when we go to RT News' TikTok page, look at their pinned tweets. The top two pinned tweets. Kamala Harris stumbles on the inflation question. Kamala Harris caught being entirely scripted. Kamala Harris can't speak incomplete sentences without a teleprompter. But what about Trump? Russia takes seriously Donald Trump's pledge to end the conflict in Ukraine. So yes, RT News is doing everything they can to help Donald Trump win and make sure Kamala Harris loses the 2024 election. It's literally their top 4 pinned tweets on their TikTok account. And RT News is not banned in the United States. We have freedom of speech, we have freedom of the press, even if it's coming from a foreign government. But social media platforms don't have to platform you. So yes, YouTube has banned RT News. Meta, Facebook, and Instagram also banned RT News. But RT News is perfectly safe on Twitter and on TikTok. Additionally, if you go to Google and you search RT News, the website is not blocked. It's not suppressed. If I Google RT News, I can go to RT News' webpage. It's still available here in the United States, even though I know in certain European countries it's officially been blocked. So RT News was asked by their peers, Fox News for example, for comment on this indictment. And this is actually how RT News responded to the indictment.
We reached out to RT for comment, and the company responded in part with the following: ha, 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 ha.
I'm sure that was much funnier in the original Russian, but for us, it's not funny. This is deadly serious, and we are going to treat it accordingly.
The Department of Justice is taking this very seriously. So Margarita Simonyan on Kremlin State TV, the head of RT News, has admitted that they have covert operations inside of America to affect the 2024 election. She said this in a recent post from Russian Media Monitor. Since we had been banished everywhere on the 25th of February 2022, an entire empire of covert projects were created that is working with the public opinion in the West. This is the head of RT News on Kremlin State TV bragging to the Russian people that they've created an empire of covert influencers on our social media platforms here in the West to promote Russia and weaken Western democracy, weaken support for Ukraine. So here's where we zoom in on this indictment to the useful idiots promoting Russian propaganda. Media startup from Benny Johnson, Tim Pool, and Dave Rubin was a secret Russian influence campaign according to this indictment. So this indictment doesn't give their names, but it gives their YouTube channels and their follower count. So it's very easy to tell who the Department of Justice is actually talking about. And the indictment is for these two Russians who work for RT News. But these two Russians with Russian money created this group in Tennessee. The indictment also highlights one of the founders of Tenet. Tenet Media is the name of the company. Lauren Chen, claiming she worked to deceive the commentators about the funding of the group. Chen is listed as a contributor on RT's website, which is mentioned in the indictment. So here's individual number one. She was the one actually approached by the two employees of RT News with bags of cash, and she created this group in Tennessee called Tenet Media. And then Tenet Media went to recruit existing social media influencers to push Russian propaganda. Now, Lauren Chen is a regular contributor to Charlie Kirk's show, as well as his nonprofit group, Turning Points USA. We can go on Lauren Chen's Twitter account, and she's got 580,000 followers. And look enough, she's a contributor on Blaze TV. These are all the pro-Russian right-wing propaganda news outlets here in the United States. So how much are these Russian shills being paid? And according to the indictment, $10 million was transferred through these shell companies. This is the money laundering from the two employees of RT News to Lauren Chen. Lauren Chen used to work for RT News. She doesn't anymore, but we know what's happening here. Lauren Chen then created Tenet Media and recruited all of these right-wing personalities to promote Russian propaganda. It was in their contracts to push narratives in support of political party A and candidate A, the Republicans and Donald Trump, and to attack political party B and candidate B, the Democrats and Joe Biden, now Kamala Harris. Russian money has been used to help Donald Trump and to hurt the Democrats. So when we go on Tenet Media's YouTube channel, it's actually not that big. 316,000 subscribers. They posted 2,000 videos. And the media channel itself doesn't get a lot of views. This is from 7 days ago, only 3,500 views. This one's from 9 days ago, 11,000 views. But the individual content creators, they have their own channels and they actually do get a lot of views. Tim Pool has 1.3 million subscribers. When we go to his latest videos, this one from 2 days ago has 87,000 views. This one from 13 days ago, 309,000 views. 309,000 people on YouTube watched a video and didn't know that the content creator was taking millions from the Russian government to make that video. Benny Johnson is even worse, 2.3 million subscribers. We can see from his recent posts, he gets a lot of views. This one from 19 hours ago, 233,000 views. This one from a day ago, 229,000 views. This is 229,000 people who don't know that they're watching a clip of one of their favorite content creators who's been taking millions from the Russian government. The other big ones, the Rubin reports, 2.5 million subscribers. When we look at his videos, 111,000 views. This one from a day ago, 813,000 views in one day. People watching this clip, not knowing that this guy, once again, has taken millions of dollars from the Russian government. Also listed was Lauren Chen. She's at 712,000 subscribers, but she doesn't appear to post as often. And the worst effect is here on Twitter. Benny Johnson, 2.7 million followers. Tim Pool, 2.1 million followers. Dave Rubin, 1 million followers. Lauren Chen, 561,000 followers. And the reason why these guys got so big on Twitter is because of Elon Musk. Elon Musk likes, comments, and retweets constantly on all the creators of Tenet Media. Elon Musk famously says he doesn't read or watch the news anymore. He only gets his information now from Twitter. And Elon Musk appears to only follow and interact with paid-for Russian propagandists. This is happening. So here's where the story takes a twist. And in the indictment, the Department of Justice says that these content creators didn't know where the money was coming from. Yes, they were told you should be promoting Russian talking points and be critical of the Democrats and Joe Biden, but we're going to pay you a lot of money, and don't ask where the money comes from. So Benny Johnson is trying to defend himself. A year ago, a media startup pitched my company to provide content as an independent contractor. Our lawyers negotiated a standard, arm's-length deal, which was later terminated. We are disturbed by the allegations in today's indictment, which makes clear that myself and other influencers were victims in this alleged scheme. My lawyers will handle anyone who states or suggests otherwise. So this guy has accepted millions of dollars from the Russian government to promote Russian propaganda, knowing or unknowing, and he's threatening to sue anyone who says anything negative about him. Here's Tim Pool, my statement regarding allegations and the leaked DOJ indictment. Should these allegations prove true, I, as well as the other personalities and commentators, were deceived and are the victims. His post got community noted because he couldn't even post about it without lying. The DOJ indictment was not leaked, it was unsealed. It was released to the public. And you've accepted millions from the Russian government to push their talking points. So we got to zoom in. As a YouTuber myself, I am desperate to know how much the Russians were paying these idiots. And they were making $400,000 a month. And their contract said they had to produce 4 videos a week. They were making $100,000 a week to make 4 videos. That's $25,000 a video. And these idiots didn't question how that was possible, where the money was coming from. And I have to just dunk on Tim Pool. I mean, you can tell by his post upload he does 4 videos a week. And these are not great views. Pastor explains why knowledge would be impossible, blah, blah, blah. 4 days ago, 24,000 views. And Tim Pool made $25,000 to make this YouTube video. It's not about Russia, it's not about US politics. These influencers are supposed to talk about random other stuff and conspiracy theories to draw in people with diverse interests, and then force feed them the Kremlin propaganda. But being paid $25,000 for a video that only got 24,000 views, he's making more than $1 per view. 1,000 people watch a video, he just made $1,000. That's how insanely stupid this all is. So let me share with you some of Tim Pool's expert analysis about the war in Ukraine. This is what he was being paid $100,000 a week to say on his YouTube channel.
They know it. But I don't know that it matters anymore. This is psychotic. Ukraine is the enemy of this country. Ukraine is our enemy, being funded by the Democrats. I will stress this again. One of the greatest enemies of our nation right now is Ukraine. They are expanding this war. Now, don't get me wrong, I know. You've got criminal elements of the U.S. government pushing them and guiding them and telling them what to do. Ukraine is now accused, a German warrant issued for blowing up the Nord Stream pipeline, triggering this conflict. Ukraine is the greatest threat to this nation and to the world. We should rescind all funding and financing, pull out all military support, and we should apologize to Russia.
This guy needs to go to jail. He got paid $100,000 a week to say that Ukraine is the greatest enemy to the United States, and the United States owes Russia an apology. So let's tie in the election, the 2024 election. Of course, Tim Pool has done an interview with Donald Trump. All softball questions. Donald Trump's able to say whatever he wants and lie as much as he wants. Tim Pool is not there to fact check him. He's only there to make him look good. So let me share one more Tim Pool interview with you, and if it's not Donald Trump, guess who it is.
What's your opinion on the solution to the Ukraine war?
Cut off the money. It's the only way you get them to the table, right? As long as, we're literally creating the oligarch class of billionaire in Ukraine with whatever's being siphoned off, whether it's Zelensky, whether it's this, while they send young men to die as cannon fodder on the front lines because they couldn't care less. It's fucking disgusting what's going on there, that it's allowed to happen, that we shut down anything. It's so obvious. Nothing's ever going to change there if the money keeps flowing. My father would have been like, hey, you got like one more month of this, and if you're not at the table, it's done.
Yeah. So that is Tim Pool interviewing Donald Trump Jr. How do we end the war in Ukraine? Cut off the money. Cut off all support for Ukraine. Allow the Russians just to win. Allow the Russians to take everything they want to take. This is the narrative from Kremlin-paid influencers like Tim Pool and Donald Trump Jr., whose father is running for president this November, if you didn't notice. So what's Tim Pool saying today? Upon reflection, I now understand that Ukraine is our greatest ally. As the breadbasket of Europe and a peace-loving people, we cannot allow the fascist Russians to continue their crimes against humanity. And he added a Ukraine flag to his name. This is a guy who wants to keep the $5 million the Russians have given him, and he doesn't want to go to jail. This man stands for absolutely nothing, aside from just who is willing to give him cash. These are the people who represent Russia. These are the people who fight for Russia. They're all soulless mercenaries who have no ethical standards, who stand for nothing aside from enriching themselves. What does David Sachs have to say? When do we get to see who's on Ukraine's payroll? I bet there are some much bigger names than podcasters. So on David Sachs, this is not a denial. He doesn't argue with it at all. He just says it's okay for Russia to do this because Ukraine is doing it as well. I'm at 500,000 subscribers, guys, and my videos do pretty well. 3 days ago, 470,000 views. 6 days ago, 437,000 views. But this is natural. This is organic. What you're seeing from my YouTube channel is the limit of what one human being can do. I don't have editors. I don't have staffers that can repurpose my content into shorts and then flood it on TikTok, Instagram, Facebook, and wherever. The people supporting Ukraine aren't being paid by anyone. If there's anyone by the CIA watching my videos, I'll take your money to keep doing what I'm doing anyways. I would love to be paid $25,000 per video, like Tim Pool. Russia's going to be defeated. Ukraine is going to win this war. Donald Trump this November will be defeated, and democracy here in America will be preserved. All of this is going to be exposed. All of these people are going to go to jail. Let's get to the good news for Ukraine. Germany orders 17 Iris-T air defense systems for Ukraine. It's going to take a while for them to arrive, but they have been ordered. Thank you so much to the people of Germany. Norway pledges $53 million for drones and air defense for Ukraine. Thank you so much to the people of Norway. Ireland, I guess their president or prime minister visited Kyiv and announced they would be allocating 128 million euros for non-lethal military support, such as demining efforts. Thank you so much to the people of Ireland. Kremlin approves the sale of Unilever's Russian subsidiary. We did it, guys. It took 2.5 years, but the conglomerate's Unilever is finally pulling out of Russia. It just means that in grocery stores in Russia, they're going to have more Chinese products, but Western companies should not still be doing business anywhere in Russia. Thank you, Unilever, for finally doing the right thing. Final clip I want to share with you. This is the first week of back to school for Ukrainian kids. And this is a Ukrainian girl explaining why she's excited to go back to school.
Перший клас, мене звати Адель, і мені 6 років, і я дуже рада. А чому ти хочеш йти до школи? Бо тут ми будемо перше гратись, потім підемо вчитись, потім ще підемо вчитися, потім інші підемо в школу, потім інститут, так на роботу, і потім помремо.
Ukrainian kids just want to go back to school. That's all for this update video. Glory to Ukraine, glory to the heroes. If you found this video informative, give me a thumbs up. Best way to support the channel. Comments and questions, let me know down below. I love hearing from you guys. Till the next video, keep defending the truth, keep defending democracy.